This is a narration of What is Libertarianism? An Introduction to the Philosophy of Liberty, as written by the Victorian Policy Director of the Libertarian Party of Victoria in Australia, written by Pietro Angeli. Today we're up to Chapter 2. If you would like to go back to Chapter 1, please click on the link below. Chapter 2. What is the state? Chapter 2. What is the state? A state is often described as the political organisation that enforces rules over a population within a certain territory. There have been many different types of states over the course of human history. Kingdoms and empires, overseen by either a single individual, a family, or a group of individuals, were powerful states of the past. The state of any particular territory, in essence, is whatever organisation is successfully able to maintain control over that territory through the use of force. If a kingdom of the past was invaded by another, it would no longer be the state of that area. If a popular revolt from the citizenry killed the king and all his soldiers, there would no longer be a state in that region until another formed. Quote by Max Weber: "The state is a human community that successfully claims the monopoly of the legitimate use of physical force within a given territory. The first thing a state must do to ensure its survival and longevity upon laying claim to a territory is ban the use of force by the citizenry. The state must give itself a monopoly on violence, i.e., all violence except for their own is banned by law. The only people permitted to use violence are the servants of the state who perform violence on its behalf. This may be done through the king's men in the past, the Roman soldiers in the distant past, or the police force in modern day. The second thing a state must do to ensure its survival and longevity is convince the citizenry that the state is not only necessary, but inevitable. Kings did this by asserting that they ruled by divine right. God himself had ordained them king, and therefore their rulings and their kingdoms were just. Modern-day rulers are more sophisticated. The ruling class of Western societies, Australia included, have replaced the divine right with the will of the people. By alluding to an election as democratic, the state once again asserts itself to be inevitable and just. Democracy, it is often argued, symbolises the ultimate virtue of a nation, where people can peacefully resolve disputes and elect leaders who represent them by participating in the system that rules over them. Unfortunately, this assertion is false. The vast majority of Australians have no effective political power, no real representation, and are subject to regulations and laws that are changed and moulded without their consultation, input, or often even awareness. Democracy is a far more effective organisational system when it is scaled down to the extremely local level. Only when one can personally access, lobby, and convince their representative can a democratic system truly say it is fulfilling the promises of its name. By contrast, a single member of the House of Representatives in the Australian Federal Parliament represents well over 100,000 people. How could one possibly say, without irony or sarcasm, that their representative will accurately reflect their views on the national decision-making stage? And if their views aren't being accurately represented, how does democracy work to engage all people in deciding the ultimate direction of a country? It is clear that democracy, like the divine right of kings, serves to shield the state from serious questions about its legitimacy. It gives citizens the semblance of agency and control while maintaining enough distance between the citizenry and the political class that the people have little real impact on the political class's decision-making and operations. Libertarianism is a philosophy that is profoundly anti-state. While libertarians may disagree on exactly what the state's role should be, anarchist libertarians argue against any form of state, whilst minarchist libertarians argue that the state should be limited to performing very basic functions and scaled down to more localised control. All libertarians agree that the modern-day state is far too large and that the state must be drastically reduced to improve the lives of individuals. Australia has seen how once the state secures a monopoly on violence, it concerns itself for its own survival with justifying its existence. A population doesn't need to be constantly singing the praises of the state, but if they even resign themselves to reluctant acceptance of the state as a necessary evil, the state is secure. Because of this, the state has endeavoured to involve itself in as many functions of society as it possibly can. welfare, construction, transport, healthcare, education, law enforcement, infrastructure, regulation, energy, the judicial system, research, emergency response, and a myriad of others. All of these services can be provided without the state, and in fact can be cheaper and of higher standard if provided by the free market. Because the state portrays itself as the only provider of these, however, the average person resigns him or herself to reluctant acceptance that the state is either useful, necessary, unavoidable, or good. This enables the state's exploitation to continue largely unopposed.